what is Shannon's current situation right now? Because he's not out, but he has some pending cases, but it looks like they're getting resolved. Can you update us on that?
I've encouraged everyone to, and I hope my tone is reflecting that, to be humble and move with humility, and because Shannon does still have some matters. They are nothing like this. Yeah. I've had preliminary discussions. The prosecutors I've talked to have been nothing but professional, and I'm hoping that maybe by the end of next week, we'll be able to resolve those. Now, there's also the matter of what happens to Shannon at the end of this, when he is released. And I had a very long conversation. I love having these conversations. We couldn't have conversation. Shannon always wanted to talk about his future throughout this whole trial for 2 years. And I kept cutting him off because A, I wanted to focus on the case, but B, I'm just superstitious, and I didn't want to talk about your future while we're facing 2 life without paroles plus 1 million years. I said, we got to win this. And so now we're at that point. So yesterday we had a long talk about his future. I'm not going to reveal the details, but let's just say it was a discussion about staying off of social media. That's not real life. Yeah. It was a discussion about moving forward, being humble, moving with positivity and love, and being a family man and being there for your children. And he's very much interested in doing that. He's had a tough life. So it's not, everything is not, when people are trying to kill you for 8 years, it's easy for me to say that, but the reality is we are now in a situation where he can be a father for his children. He can be a husband. He can be a great grandson, and we're just working out the logistics. And I hope he seizes this opportunity, and he knows he has us in his corner. So.
Yeah. And his kids were there in the courtroom for the verdict and sentencing. Were they?
Yes.
3?
4.
4. And some of them were teenagers. Or do you know how old they are? Various ages.
Various ages, but I would say, I think one of them might be a teenager now.
Yeah.
But they all love him dearly, and it's just a lot of, I don't know, man. It's a lot of good people. Even Miss Alexander testified. I don't know if that was the young lady whose gun. It was right. He was convicted of that one charge. It was registered to her, and we didn't even, in my closing, I didn't even fight that.
Mm-hmm.
That was for purposes of maintaining credibility with the jury. I didn't mention that because I didn't want to start arguing about something that was tough to argue. But my point, Miss Alexander, she shows up, and in some ways, she's had people were talking about her online, and she was showing up on those last days. She brought me a beautiful picture of me and Shannon that she got put on canvas. And she was just, and this is before the verdict came, and she was just so appreciative. And, his grandmother was there, and she was so appreciative. And so there's good people in his corner. It's just, there's a lot of complications in his life that we need to sort out. And I just want everyone to move forward in peace and love.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever been co-counsel with a client's wife before?
Oh, no. And when I didn't mention Kayla, I didn't mean to leave her out. She's been very supportive too. The one thing that, I'm just trying, obviously she's excited about getting Shannon home. And, I'm just trying to temper her enthusiasm with let's just stay off social media and let's just take it slow and be humble and work this out the way it needs to be worked out, and good things will happen.
Yes. Yeah. And like you were saying, there's still some cases to resolve, but you're hoping by the end of next week to have some
I
good
hope
news.
so. I hope so.
Some good news, or for him to be out, or either one would be great news, but you're hoping
Right.
for some resolution by end of next week, you said?
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Well, somebody was saying Mr. Kokomo must be in Miami, but he
there's some sort of art festival or something. My wife explained it to me.
Yeah.
Because I told Mr. Kokomo he doesn't need to go to Miami, and then my wife said, cut him some. My wife is like his defense attorney. She said, cut him some slack. He's Art. There it is. Art Basil. There it is.
Yeah. The jury interviews where we are all seeing the jurors talk. And did you watch the big 3-hour interview that Melanie did with it was one juror and 2 alternates, and there's been some other discussions, but I'm wondering if anything surprised you from these interviews at all.
I saw parts. You talking about the one that Shaq was on. I saw parts. I'm always worried about putting myself in an echo chamber. So a lot of people were saying online, ain't no way they're convicting. This is nonsense. And, I'm always more pessimistic. I was like, it's not that easy. We're not out the woods. But it was, and I was like, well, these are people that are following me, which means they're rooting for us. So it's self-selecting group that's making these comments. But it was actually surprising to me how similar the views of those jurors were with all the people that were saying things online. I mean, that was really.
Yeah. Oh, I see people saying Kokomo's in the chat. Jack, if you check if you check your Instagram DMs, there should be a link to get into the StreamYard if you can. But we'll wait for you here. But one thing the trial has revealed, especially in the end, was, I mean, the third car and really the fourth car in the drinks video was arguably a defensive smoking gun. And did you guys see it that way going forward? I admittedly have not watched your opening statement